In this episode of E-Bikes for Seniors, we're going to look at how do you get your heavy e-bike to where you want to have fun with it. Stay tuned. The first thing you need to do when you're looking at transporting one of these e-bikes is understand how much does it weigh and what's the capacity of your hitch. So the high-end Magicycle Deer with the 20 amp hour battery weighs more than the more affordable Magicycle Cruiser. This has a 20 amp hour battery that weighs 12 pounds, and this battery over here only weighs 10. So the very first thing you want to do before you even start to think about loading a bike is to remove the battery. No need to add that stress to your hitch. Then, once you get the battery off, you need to calculate what is the weight of that bike. So for the Magicycle, it's around 62 to 65 pounds, which will fit on my 70-pound weight limit hitch. The Deer, on the other hand, this still weighs in at 80 pounds, so I've got to use the transport technique that relies with putting it on the bed of my truck. So let's talk about hitches here for a minute. When looking at e-bikes for seniors, you got to figure out what is the right hitch to transport your bike. Now this is a standard hitch that I use for my mountain bike, and its weight capacity is only 45 pounds. So if you've got a commuter e-bike, well, you may be able to get away with this. But for heavier e-bikes, like the two Magicycle models I just showed you, then you're left with a more expensive hitch that will attach to your tow hitch. When picking the right hitch, you need to make sure that the wheel wells are wide enough to accommodate the fat tires if you have a fat tire bike, not as important if you have a normal commuter bike. Then the other thing, of course, is how is it arranged? Now, I like using one of these vibration dampers once I put it into the hitch to firmly attach this hitch to the tow hitch. That way I minimize vibration and reduce the stress on the post right here. Because even though this is good for my Magicycle Cruiser, I still worry about the weight limits associated with this. So let's get it set up and I'll show you how we mount it. Let me show you how easy it is to get a heavy e-bike on one of these hitches. Before I load this bike on the rack, I need to point out you need to adjust your wheel wells to account for where the hook is going to be. So I know that on this bike, given that it's going down, the front has to be pointed this way for the hook to work. Then it's a pretty easy matter of getting it on. I roll it over, I put the wheel parallel to the wheel well, lift it up, and you're not lifting the entire weight of the bike, you're only lifting the front, so it's pretty easy. Then you go back, grab it by the rack. Well, it would help if I put the kickstand up, grab it by the rack, and you pop it on. And now, this hook will go down. I can tighten it up and lock it in. One more thing you need to do is you need to run the strap that comes with the hitch around the hook, through the bottom, and then back up. Attach this and really winch it down, and that keeps the hook from coming loose. But if you have one of these models, it's the step through, then you have to get one of these bars, and that fits here in the front, down to the back, and you lock it in, and now this hook can fit over this and hold your bike securely. But again, this bike is too heavy for this hitch, so let's pull it out of the way. And that's all there is to transporting one of these heavy bikes. Now, I'll link up, well, I'll just show it to you. Coming up is how we loaded a heavy e-bike onto the bed of the truck. It was not a Magicycle, it was a mock wheel, and it was actually heavier than this bike right here, but it ended up pretty easy. It's the same way you'd load a motorcycle on the back in the bed of a pickup truck. Pivot up, stick the front wheel on the tailgate, lift up on the back, slide it in, put the kickstand down to stabilize it, And then
the truck and tie it down.
Then he's going to run it into the corner. Cat a corner against the truck. And then he's going to use ratchet straps to tie it down. So he runs one around the seat post, connects the other right there. Then the other one goes on, cranks down to the seat post.
That strap I never changed the length up, so when I tighten this side down, it's already tightened down on that side.
And he puts it to the middle connector. And this is the only one he tightens because the other strap is already set at the correct length. Shake it again, Dick. And that is in there permanently. And that's how you load a heavy e-bike on the back of the tailgate. And getting it off is just the reverse. E-bikes for seniors or electric bikes for seniors, whatever you want to call it. It's important once you spend the money on one of these things to be able to get it to where you can have fun. The hitch is the way to go, and you can get heavier tolerance hitches that would allow you to load a heavy bike like the Magicycle Deer without having to put it on the back of the truck. Just that this one costs, I think, 250 bucks, and since I already had it, I'm not willing to spend more. There you go. Comments? Throw them down below. Thanks.